been following the honking up in Canada, and it got me thinking about how terrorism is completely fake. Because Trudeau went before Parliament there and tried to say that the truckers were Nazis and all this other shit. Because what had happened is they planted a guy in the crowd there to have a Nazi flag. He just planted, they put him in there. Media shows up and just films him, and then they have a narrative. And that's pretty much what goes on with these terrorist organizations created by, United States intelligence agencies and the Mossad, Israeli intelligence. What they do, and I mean it's still a practice that they use today, is when they want to destroy an area for whatever reason, to install a new government in that area, what they do is they create a terrorist organization to terrorize that area so that they then have to go in and fight that organization that they created. And that's how that works. But as time goes on, I'm starting to realize that probably very little work goes into that whole process. I used to think about it and be like, wow, it seems like such a pain in the ass. They have to go there and get local fighters to join this cause for this front. It's kind of dangerous and would take a long time. But I'm starting to think that they don't even do that. I remember Tom Brady when he was on the Patriots. And this was kind of even before I was really super into this kind of stuff. They were talking to him post-game. And it was a quote in a newspaper. They're asking him about something that was going on with the team or whatever. And he said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's just a ball game, a football game. When you have things like ISIS in the world, and I'm like, what? That caught my eyes. Like, why is Tom Brady talking about ISIS? This is before ISIS was even a thing. Like, I just heard a couple things about it. It wasn't mainstream at all. And I'm like, well, he doesn't seem like the type of guy that sits around surfing message boards to try to find this kind of information or gets... Yeah, I mean, it just seemed so planted, and it just stuck out to me. Like, oh, they're using him to put the narrative out there. So, and right after that, you started hearing about ISIS. And my thought initially, when I started looking into this kind of stuff, is these agencies go to the country, they create some sort of group, and then they go fight them. But I'm starting to think they don't even create the group. They just tell you that there's a group there. And you say, well, they go over and they used to bomb Taliban people all the time. Well, were they Taliban fighters? Or were they just people who were trying to fight guerrilla style against this nation that was, coming into their country? They used to have this narrative, like they would say, oh, they hide among civilians. I don't think they were hiding among civilians. I think they were civilians. And like when they got a drone bomb this guy who may have been shooting at them earlier in the day, just because he's just like a local dude that's like, fuck these people, they're not coming into my country. They would just bomb his house and then say, yeah, we had collateral damage because he was hiding among the civilians. What I'm saying is there is no organization. There's not even an organization. They're just telling you that this organization exists. And they make these little films that they produce themselves, like those hostage films. if you've looked into this stuff, you've seen the photographs of a set with the hostage kind of thing going on the set. I think that's about as much work as they do. Because think about it, going into because they're definitely creating these things, but to actually create them would take so much work, resources, and how would you even do that? I mean, any kind of underground guerrilla fighters would know right away that you were from the outside. Hello, fellow terrorists. Would you like to fight the Americans? With, the meme there. It's the same thing. So, Al-Qaeda, which in Arabic means the toilet, which is like, why would you call your super crazy terrorist organization? And you're like, well, what about all these bombings? It's like they're doing them themselves. These, like the Manchester thing, they do them themselves. And whenever these things happen, they almost immediately say, fake terrorist organization has already claimed responsibility for it. So they control the entire game. And since they own all the media, it's pretty easy to create a narrative like this. And you're seeing it a lot in Canada, a lot of their tricks. Like, they had all these arrests going on, or people thought they were arrests, but they can't legally arrest them because they're peacefully protesting. So they would make it look like they're being arrested, and then they'd drive them a couple blocks and let them out of the car, and let them out of the paddy wagon. It's being reported by people on the ground there that this is what's going on, but the idea is that they just need to create the narrative that, people are getting arrested, to try to deter people from going. Very low effort. They have their cameraman from their news place that is there when someone's being arrested, or just to shoot the guy with the Nazi flag, to shoot footage of him. And then they just report it with their news. The difference, and that's always how these things have gone down. I mean, people think these false flags are like a new thing. They're not a new thing. That's how they started the Vietnam War. I mean, the whole JFK thing. But I've been giving them way too much credit. I think that there's really minimal effort into going into creating these things, up to the point where they don't even actually have to have an organization. And these people, they say, are leaders in like certain terrorist groups. They're not. They're just local people that they want to take out for whatever reason, or maybe they would have resistance. They always try to get rid of the people that they think are going to cause them a problem, even if they're not causing them a problem now. They'll look at the profile of these people and be like, this guy could be trouble. We got to get rid of him. Like, where, I can't imagine there being a headquarters for some of these groups. Like, it's silly. It's silly. And again, it's one of those things that it's a combination of, I didn't really think too much about it, and also the dying beast is ruining the veil. The veil's dropping. The reality show is breaking apart. So it doesn't take a lot of reflection to kind of come to these conclusions now. And like a lot of people I talk to, I'm really good at pattern recognition. If you get the IKEA furniture, empty the box out on the floor, I could probably tell you what it is. I could see it as a finished piece without going through it. Is a really bad analogy, but I see things how they play out. And there's a lot of other people that have honed the same kind of skill. And looking at the way they do things now, I just have to apply that to all the other stuff. Because when you completely control the media, lock, stock, and barrel, why would you go through the trouble of planting federal agents in a country to make the locals believe that they were against themselves? It's a lot of work. So, yeah, terrorism isn't real. I mean, I don't know an instance on the world stage that we've seen or heard a lot of. Of course, there are intercountry stuff like terrorism against different kind of groups of people in your country. See that a lot in the Middle East. There's, of course, the troubles in Ireland. There is real terrorism, or what they call terrorism, but all these big world stage, and it is a stage, showy type groups, I think they put way less work into them than I originally thought. Yeah, so that Canada thing got me thinking about that. Just seeing the low effort. Speaking of low effort, I just walked by a guy that, older man with a long, long white beard, very hairy, with the sundress on. That's low effort trannyism right there. We used to have good mahoos here. When I first moved here, like pre-COVID, I'd be like, wow, that, I can't tell if that's usually the height would be a giveaway, but these people went all out. They always looked fantastic. Now, since that movement has been hijacked and is being promoted by the culture at large, there's a lot of low effort people getting into it for whatever reason, attention, or to get certain benefits in society, because it's a protected class, and you know, people will give me a weird face because of my makeup. But if I put a sundress on, you know, they'd be telling me how stunning and brave I am. I'll tell you what stunning and brave is. Wearing lipstick to high school. That's fucking, you do that. You know, you do that. See how that works out. I'm not trying to pat myself on the horn or blow my own back, but throwing on a sundress and doing nothing else is so low effort. And this is a thing around here. Like, there's this Asian guy that I run into sometimes. He's a older gentleman, balding, but not doing anything about it. Like, he's not trying to do something to make it look good. He's got one of those skullet type things. And, you know, he's no makeup. No, I'm wearing more makeup than a lot of these low effort trannies we have here. And he just walks around with his sundress on and is complete man. These people didn't exist before. You know, before it became mainstream. Shit, I remember I grew up around Fred. No, I've always been involved in music, in the music scene, and we used to play a lot of really great tranny bars. You know, those people were partiers, and they always went all out. I had friends that used to do like impersonations. I had this one friend that would do Madonna at these shows. They actually got the operation. I was kind of wondering how that worked out for them. I haven't spoken to them in years. In fact, the last time I think I spoke to them, I was at their house on New Year's Eve, and I got so messed up that I ended up with a doctor the next day who told me I had to stop drinking and doing drugs. And I did for a long time. Kind of forever. Like, I stopped partying after that. That was like 2008. I mean, I've fallen into things, but as far as going out, getting trashed and doing a bunch of whatever, that was like the last time I did that. But yeah, I'm kind of, what the fuck am I even talking about? Low effort stuff. The friends I knew and the friends I still have that are transsexual, people working to it. You know, you can't tell with some of these guys. But with the guys, sorry, whatever. Look, you know, give me a break here. Around here, it's like since people have learned that there'll be a protected class and they'll be, deified kind of in a lot of cases. They just like, oh, I'll have some of that. And they'll just like throw a dress on that looks like it belongs on like a Barbie doll and just walk around all hairy and manly. And they get away with it. It's too bad. Low effort terrorism, low effort trannies, low effort everywhere. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.